I thought a brief demonstration of the SX-140 might be interesting or may be helpful. This is set up for CW mode, and there's some critical things here. Primarily the main thing being the regeneration, the BFO with selectivity control. If it has to be moved up until oscillation just begins, and then you can adjust the frequency of the CW signal. And also the RF gain is critical. It can be used to turn down signals that are obviously overloading the front end. It also varies the pitch slightly. And one thing about this particular receiver is that you tune both sides of 0 beat. As you hear that one coming down one side and then back up the other side. This can be helpful with interference sometimes because you can move to one side of 0 beat and where QRM may not be present. Also, this is the antenna trim control, which peaks the front end, and it's also good for AM reception on 40 meters. And our next segment we'll look at the calibration control. Just to tune around the bands a little bit more. Picks up some strong signals. You can hear that one pretty well. Goes through to 0 beat. Back up to the other side. Another one coming, starting back up. That's pretty good reception. The sensitivity of this compares very favorably with my other rigs here, both a Kenwood 830S and a Yaesu FT920. And of course, if we back off the RF gain, get a little bit more manageable. Now let's take a look at the calibration as far as being able to adjust the calibration control, and we'll do that next. We're looking at the calibration control now, and it's important to adjust the RF gain and selectivity on this to get the RF pitch. You can hear it coming down towards 0 beat. You notice I had to adjust the RF gain control up one side of the slope, down towards 0 beat, back towards the up side of the slope. And this is how you can set your dial, and I use this calibration frequency here, 7040, because I can get that on an operating frequency, and here I'm bringing it down towards 0 beat to get it right on the dial point. Up the other side, back down on that, and we can get right on our calibration point at this point. And of course, as I mentioned, this crystal can also be used in your transmitter if you so desire. I've also including a 3560 crystal for calibration on 75 meters, 80 meters rather. And you have to change this from band to band because it'll be off a little bit. But once you get it set on the dial, it's amazing how close this is. Now the segments are at 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. But even within those, you can get pretty close, and it compares very favorably to my other rigs I mentioned earlier. And that's pretty well the situation with the calibration. I disconnected the antenna for this because it's easier to set this up with the antenna switched off. You don't have all the other interfering signals. and that's pretty well lit. The main thing that's critical, as I said before, in this particular rig is having the IF frequency properly aligned so that your regeneration works properly. Most of the radios, most of the SX-140s you'll see or get will not have the IF properly aligned, and the regeneration doesn't work properly, and as a result, many people are disappointed with their SX-140s when in fact they're a pretty good receiver for basic CW operations, especially if you're trying to build your own transmitter. It's a good companion for that. The next thing we'll look at is I want to show you how it is by adding an RC active filter, or in this case a DSP filter to it. A little audio filter makes a big difference in signal reception. Okay, we're going to be looking at an audio filter now to see what difference it might make. We've got a little time wave DSP filter here. If you switch that in, obviously you can hear the frequency narrow down, and you can tune that to get it about where you want it. I find it's very helpful. As you can see, let's see if we can find some more signals here. I'm up the other side of the slope. Okay, you can hear a couple of signals in there now. Several. Tune that in, and of course you've got single signal reception. And of course this is a pretty good audio filter here, but it even works pretty well with even the simple types that you can get from 10 to 20 bucks off of eBay. Just look or do a search on RC or active or audio filter in the ham radio section, and you can actually build it inside the receiver, and it works pretty well. But this does real well about tuning around, and of course works real well with a strong signal naturally, but it also works well with lighter signals. Hear that one? That's much lower. I think he's gone now. Anyway, you can see that the active audio filter of some type will greatly reduce the selectivity, and it works pretty well when you're using it with a transmitter, when you can get it down to a single signal. And that's about it for the SX-140. Thank you.